science and biology, we would learn a little bit, and we would add to what we learn. Some things may be familiar, and some things may not be. So over the times, and especially with the biology topics, you would be familiar with some of the things, especially when we are dealing with the human body. So when it comes to the human body, what would be one of the most important organs that you normally hear people talking about?
Digestive system.
The heart. Anybody else? Liver. Brain.
Lungs.
Lungs. Okay, good. So today, good morning. So today we are looking at this major topic here, circulatory system and blood vessels. So in particular, could anyone identify what is this?
The
Heart.
Heart.
Heart. Everybody agree?
Yes.
Right. So when we're talking about the heart, anybody know what the heart does? Raise hands. I want different people answering at a time. Somebody on this table? Anybody on this table? Attempt, remember? Yeah. It's to pump blood? Yeah.
Cells cancer.
Same thing? Alright, good. Yeah. It keeps us alive. Right. So, we understand that and agree that the heart is pump blood. And what we see in there is, anybody can tell me what that heart is doing there?
It pumping.
It pumping, right? So if you put your hand on your chest, on your wrist where your pulse is, you can check under your neck, you will actually feel your heartbeat, right? And if you never did it before, just press it against your wrist, against the bone. You see where the veins are, just lightly press it with your 2 fingers, and you'll feel your heartbeat. Right, some people will feel it either way, but over time, you can just in one get it, right? So, we said it's about the circulatory system, right? And we agree about that. But we said that it pumps blood around the body. Who said that? Somebody on that table, right? So, if you pump blood around the body, let's compare it to something that we know about. Let's look at our country. Good morning. Right. Let's look at our country. How do we get things around the country? How do we get things in the supermarket? How do we get things to the grocery? How do we get things to the market? Someone on this side, to the back. Back and middle, this side here. How do produce and goods reach to the shops? Yeah. Nice, transported by trucks and vans. Right, export by cargo. So we move it from one point to the other. Alright? Okay. So let's bring it to something else similar now. What about us this morning? Did we wake up and teleport to school from our pajamas into school in our uniform?
No.
No. What would we do?
Bathe, brush your teeth.
Hopefully bathe, brush your teeth, normal hygiene stuff. Right? So this is not a lesson on hygiene. So we organize, we get dressed. But the important part, from there, how do we actually reach? What are some of the methods on different people? Yeah? Yeah. How did you reach the school this morning? Travel by a car, right? Anybody came with a bus, right? Thanks. Some places have maxi taxis. So, and just like goods, it would move you from one place to the other, right? Right. So when we transporting things, do we only transport the good things?
No.
No. What do we transport also?
Bad.
Bad things. Like in our road, what are some of the bad things we transport?
Guns. Guns.
Guns and drugs. I wasn't going for that, but yes. What about garbage?
Oh.
What about garbage? But that's keeping in context, at least you're aware of your climate and the violence, so that's a good thing.
Steel food.
Right, stale food. So we do transport waste also. So in the body, you would transport things both good and bad. You all agree?
Yes.
So what would happen? The circulatory system. What does the word circulatory come from? Circle. And what does a circle represent? What does it just now?
It goes round and
It goes round and round. Cycle. Cycle, yes.
Never ending.
Never ending. So where it starts, it would stop and then it would
Continue.
start all over again. So let's think about now how our body uses that method, right? We transport things in the body, and we have a few other purposes that we use the circulatory system for. Controlling body temperature. So right now, imagine this. The place is hot, right? And I'm dehydrated. And I bought a bottle of water from the cafeteria at school. But if I put this bottle of water in between my hands and keep it there, what will happen to the temperature?
It drops.
It will get warm. The temperature will change. It will get hotter because of the energy from my hands, heat.
and the heat.
Right, it will be transferred to the water, right? So too, our blood transports heat around the body. And we use this to control our body temperature. You all agree with that?
Yes, sir.
Right. So now we have a third to protect the body. So right now, with COVID and everything, we came out of COVID for the last 2 years, the entire world, we had that pandemic. And what was the main thing that got us back out and ready to come out back in society? The vaccine. You all agree?
Yes.
Right. With respect to the vaccine now, was it something to eat?
No.
No.
You have
What
to go
was
in-
it?
So you have to go in your blood system.
An injection, and the injection it would
You have to go in your blood system.
go through your blood, travel through the veins. All right. You all, since you get the injection, right? What happens to it after what? Right. Yes. Side effects. Okay. Right. So it would travel through the body, and it would be transported by what? What we said? The blood vessels. Very good. So everybody good so far with that, right? Right. If you want, you could take notes. It is also in the Google Classroom. I will post it up also, but for your own development and studying habits, it's good you can take short notes if you see something which might be important, right? So while you all are writing that, we need to understand that the circulatory system transports material around the body which keeps it alive and provide each and every cell with its requirement. Because remember, our bodies are multicellular. What does that mean? Multiple cells. Thank you for raising your hand and contributing a very correct answer. Right. So remember when we say our body have requirements, is actually each and every cell needs those requirements. Alright? You are made up of cells, so you are a collection of cells. No. So think about you build a Lego car, but you have no Lego blocks. It doesn't exist, right? Alright, see. Very interesting question. Alright, so everybody more or less done? As I said, it will be posted in the Google Classroom for you, right? Right, so here now, we have a short video presentation on what we are looking at today. So listen up carefully and
did you have breakfast this morning? Did you ever wonder after you eat breakfast and your food is digested, how is that glucose getting transported around your body? Or as you take a breath in, how does that oxygen get transported around? Or when you exhale, how does that carbon dioxide get transferred out? Are these only questions I pondered during breakfast? Maybe. But your circulatory system is absolutely fascinating and highly involved in this. In this short intro video of the circulatory system, we will mention some basics about its functions and trace the pathway of how blood travels through your heart. But please know, before we get started, there are gigantic textbooks on the circulatory system itself. So, obviously, this video is just an intro. We're going to first talk about blood, the medium of how we transport glucose and gases. As we mentioned in our body systems intro video from many years ago, there are some misconceptions. Human blood is red, and always red, although the shade of red can vary based on how much oxygen is in the blood. Veins and arteries are often drawn in diagrams as blue or red to show whether they have lower or higher concentrations of oxygen. But that's just how it is used in most diagrams. Coloring of...
right. So at that point, we would that's something very important that we need to understand. Remember, when we learn about real things in the real world and we put it in a diagram form, we have to put it in a way that we could understand and represent it, right? And just as you would write in two different colors of ink in your book so you could notice and differentiate one from the other, so too, when we are doing diagrams, we do just that. So that's a very important point we need to consider. The oxygenated blood and deoxygenated blood. would just be shades darker than each other. But for our diagrams, it's used just like you would use red ink and blue ink or black ink and blue ink to show the difference. That is why you would see in the diagrams, we would have the red and the blue lines. Alright?
Nutrients and gases, and it's made up of different components. One component includes plasma, the liquid portion. Water, proteins, salts, lipids, you'll find them in this liquid portion of blood known as plasma. Another component includes cellular components. This means red blood cells, which do the transporting of gases, white blood cells, which can fight infections, and platelets, which are actually cellular fragments, and they're involved with helping your blood clot. Very important when there is damage to the body. Red blood cells have an iron-containing protein called hemoglobin, and that is where the red coloring of blood comes from. So when we're talking about blood, and we're just introing the circulatory system, we're going to focus on how this blood moves around.
Right. So we are going to look at various parts, right? So this video would contain information on different topics as we move along, so within the next few classes, right? So all of this would be there. So here now, when we look at think about when we go to a Chinese restaurant, one of the main decorations would be a giant fish tank. You all agree with me?
Yes.
Right. So in a fish tank, does the water just remain stagnant in it?
No.
How does the water go in a fish tank?
So by using a filter.
A filter and a pump, right? And what we are seeing the guy doing in that picture there?
So he pumping out the water from the aquarium.
He pumping out the water in the aquarium. So we would assume he emptied it out there because the water going straight down probably a bucket or something. But in the filter that we say pump, you all remember this movie?
Yeah.
Dory, and the first one is
Nemo.
Finding Nemo. You all remember when he got stuck in the filter?
Yeah.
Right. That's the same filter we're talking about. It would suck in the water, and as we said just now, filter it. And would it do like the first picture? Would it just dump the water outside? What would it do? It would go back inside. And it would
Do it all over.
make a cycle, it would circulate. So does this sound anything like what we are doing with the circulatory system?
Yes.
Right. So just as is, we have the circulatory system and it carries blood around the body. Very important to note, as we just learned in the video, that blood is a mixture of different things. Alright? So we'll look at that in our next class, but just as we mentioned it here, just to make note of it, blood is a mixture of different things. So back to our circulatory system. We are focusing on blood vessels. So as we mentioned, transport, when we started the beginning of the class, we talk about buses, cars, taxis, maxis, trucks. But do they just drive through the forest and grass? No. Do we have roads? And think about those large container trucks and them. Do they just go into street to street? What do they use to carry across? Do they just use regular roads?
No.
What do you typically use? The highways, you all agree?
Mm-hmm.
and that would connect the major parts of the country. You all agree?
Yes, sir.
So from the highways, we would have what? Main roads. And from the main roads, we would have back roads and side roads going into each village and each street so they can reach every house, not so? So too, in the circulatory system, we have, it's for transport, there are different blood vessels to do different things. So let's look at me now. Right now I'm teaching. My dress would be formal. My tools, I would have books, laptops, projectors, markers. But think about this evening when I go home, I need to dig a box drain. My job would be the same or different? Different. So, would my dress and my tools now be the same for this evening's job? No, it wouldn't. So, what would happen? Each different blood vessel, and you would get to see in biology, each different structure is suited for the job it has to do. Alright? So here, what we have here now would be the overview of blood vessels and the types of blood vessels. So let's look at it there. And again, we said the colors of the blood really blue and red? No, why we have it blue and red there?
To show the difference.
Right, to show the different shades. Somebody on the side had answered.
So that one says to show the difference.
Right, to show the differences. So, let's look on the left side of the diagram now. What is the name of that red blood vessel?
Artery.
Artery, right? And if you notice, what does the artery do?
Carries the blood away from the heart.
Carries blood away from the heart. And what we said the heart is again? Is a pump, right? And let's look at the right side now. The blue.
Vein.
Vein, and what does the vein do?
Carries blood back into your heart.
Right. So if you notice, just like the pump, it have pumping out and then it have pulling in. And we will form a cycle. But we need to have a bridge to connect them. So if you notice, joining the arteries and veins, we have smaller blood vessels. And remember when we talk about the side roads and streets that would go into the villages to each house? Right. The capillaries now would be the smaller blood vessels which go throughout the body and make sure they could deliver the good stuff to each and every cell and remove the bad stuff from each and every cell. You all agree? You all understand? Any questions? No? Alright. So, what we have here now is if we take a sectional view. You all ever heard about a sectional view?
No.
You know how you all would ask about dissecting frogs and bisecting frogs and then?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
You're cutting it open. Trying to put something with a knife and...
Right, you cut it open and do you just cut it open and just walk away?
No.
You would?
Do surgery.
You would look at it, right? Guys, you all agree?
Yes, sir.
Right? So we will observe the features. So just as just as you would look at something and take notes of all the different characteristics, these here would be the sectional view of each one. So let's look at the first one. I want you all to take a second and look at the diagrams, and we focusing now on comparing the similarities and the differences among the three of them. So take a minute and look at the structures. Right. Anybody can tell me? Anybody can tell me what are any major differences there? Difference in sizes, difference in shape. Alright, so here I have 3 different syringes. Alright? So I'll just pass it around, but let's look at the syringes. We could use these for injections. These are generally for medicine. So don't know, but the packs, they have a little part to cut, right? The one with the screw type is the one to fit a needle. You can use that for injections. The others are used just to pull up medicine, right? So if we notice, they would have different features and different sizes. So if we were to cut open one of them and look at it like that, the blood vessels would be the same. So while I'm talking, you all could just pass around the syringes, because usually we refer to syringes and people may forget what it is because it is turned away the head when they get an injection. Right? So you can just have a look at it and pass them around to the people next to you, so everybody will get a chance. So those 3, if you notice, they will have 2 larger ones and 1 smaller. And those would give you an idea of arteries, veins, and capillaries because of the diameters. And we use them for different things. Not so? You all agree? Right. Right. So, first thing first, let us identify the layers in the blood vessel. What is the outermost layer out in those which we are seeing? That will be the dark pink layer. You all can see it? You are seeing, are they similar in the artery and vein? Yeah.
I think
Well, pink or purple, whichever is the correct name, but you all know what I'm talking about, right? Does it look similar in the artery and the thickness? Yeah? Okay. What about the second layer? The light pink or light purple layer? Which one is are they the same thickness? No, which one is thicker? The artery. Right. And which one is thinner? The vein. Right. And if you notice, the second layer is made up of muscle, and you typically see fiber, muscle and elastic fiber. So if you have muscle and elastic fibers, that means it could stretch like a balloon, not so?
Yes, sir.
So if it has, the artery has a better developed muscle and elastic layer, that means it could do what better? It could
Expand.
stretch, it can expand better, not so? Why you think we would need that in the artery? Needed to stretch more. And to get that answer, we need to remember it is carrying blood out of the heart.
So it need enough space.
Space for, right, that's the beginning of the answer.
It need enough space for the blood vessels.
Blood vessels, alright. What we said the heart is do?
Pump blood.
Pump blood. And if it's pumping blood, will the pressure be high or low?
High.
High. So if the pressure is high, why would we need it to be able to stretch the arteries? Think about a balloon. You try to blow up a good balloon and you try to blow up a dry rock balloon. What? It will burst. So the stretchier one would be able to
Hold more air.
hold it, and when the pressure drops, what would happen? It would release the air and go back to
Normal size.
normal size. And you blow it back up again, it
And
would.
expand again.
And you can keep doing that, not so?
Yes, sir.
So, why now you think we have in the artery that thick layer of elastic and muscle tissue?
So it can expand when needed.
Right, and basically when the heart
It's pumping blood.
pumping blood, so when the pressure increases, it will be able to.
Expand.
Right. But let's look at the vein now. The vein. If it carrying blood to the heart, will the pressure be high also?
No.
It would be.
No.
So why do you think we would need a thin layer of elastic?
Because it doesn't need to expand that much.
Very good. It doesn't need to expand as much. The pressure would be low. So good job. So everybody agree there? Any questions? No? Just pass it around so anybody can see.
So everybody can see
Yeah.
it.
Right, so we're going on to that now. So, if we notice now, in the middle of each, we see a black space. And the name of that is from the board, it's Lumen. Lumen. That black space isn't something black, it's just empty space. So you see like in the water hose, like if you have a water hose, if you actually look at it, the empty space you will see inside the water hose where the water will flow through. The lumen is that empty space where what will flow through? Blood will flow through. Very good. So now we have here the last one, the capillary. And let's look at the size. Why is it so tiny compared, or small diameter, when compared to the arteries and veins? Let's think about the purpose. Remember, when we compare to the highways and the roads.
So because they need to deliver stuff.
Where?
To do that? No.
That's a last part. The side roads and side streets deliver goods to where?
To the stores,
Stores and
factories.
they're going backwards. The side roads and the side streets, they go directly to your homes. And remember we said, in this case, we transporting stuff to each and every cell. Not so?
Yes, sir.
So why we need the capillary to be so tiny? So it could go through and reach all all the cells. Very good. So, remember this is the last point of delivery, right? Where it going through the cells and it need to give these cells good stuff and pick up the bad stuff. If we need to do that, would it need to be thick or thin?
Thick.
Thin. And if you notice, you'll see tiny little stripes on the layer of the capillary.
Yes.
One of the key features is that it is one cell thick. That's how thin the capillary is. It is made up of cells one cell thick. So that would be able to let material easily move from the blood vessels to these cells. Any questions?
No, sir.
Alright. So, just as we explained, just to get a visual representation of it, we have the artery there, showing the different layer with the thick outer wall. Right. Right. So this part here now, we said the lumen is the space in which the blood flows through. Why would it be thin or narrow in the artery? What we said it would do when the heart pumps. The lumen is the space in the blood vessel, right? Right. Remember we said when the blood pressure increases, it would expand, the diameter will get larger. So it would be small there, but when the blood pressure increases, it would increase also. So that's just. And in the vein, it's large already. Why would it be large? It's from the same one, someone else. Someone wanted to go into this table. We're going straight off that answer we just get. The pressure is high or low in the veins?
Low.
Low, right? So if the pressure is low, would the blood vessels expand and contract because it's low? No, it wouldn't. So right, it's a good answer. You don't think so? So it is low, so it wouldn't need to contract and expand. So it is large already. Alright? Again, as we just described, thin layer, wide lumen, and then we have the capillary with
So
one
if
cell.
the artery or the vein carrying too much blood or delivering too much blood, it could burst.
Right, you know, sometimes you would hear people say, hey, in local terms, it's like, hey, you hear that man, he vein busting his head and he dead. You all ever heard that?
Yes.
Right, so yeah, it's a typical in local language. Right, typically when you are suffering from health problems, high blood pressure, diabetes, cholesterol, all those health things, it would, and smoking also interferes with your circulatory system and makes it hard and not stretchy. So when the blood pressure increases, think about the balloon being dry rot and you try to blow it up. What happened?
It could burst.
It would burst. So the same thing actually does happen. It would not be able to stretch, but the pressure is still high, so it would burst. Right? And yeah. Right. So any questions with those features and anything? Right. So we have an activity here now. Right. So everybody, even though we talk about guns and things, we're not going to fight, right? So everybody take your right hand and make a tight fist. Right. And now put it in the center of your chest. Right. So everybody doing that? So That's the approximate size of your heart and the approximate position of your heart. But if you notice, you know we say our heart is on the left side, right? Right. But it is actually to the center, but it is larger on the top. So most of it would be on the left side. So this is how we say it's on the left side. So this is the approximate size and position of your heart in your body. Alright, we could take off the light mode. Right. Right. So let's look at now a brief intro to the heart.
At the heart, a universally recognized symbol of love, kindness, and compassion. The heart is one of the hardest working organs in your body. After all, it is responsible for pumping blood throughout a vast array of blood vessels spanning 100,000 kilometers in total. All those vessels laid end to end will encircle the Earth 2.5 times, all to begin in a heartbeat. This powerful muscular organ, approximately the size of a fist, is usually drawn symmetrically like this. In reality, your heart is asymmetrical, with the left side being more muscular than the right, for reasons that we will explore later on. The heart is located in the middle.
Right. So we said that the heart is a muscle, right? And think about those bodybuilders. They started off, did they born big and sharp in a muscle? Huh?
No.
They started off like everybody else, but what did they do?
So some of them must take steroids.
Right, before that,
Should I see someone?
they would exercise.
Left
Should I
way.
see someone inject them muscle with oil?
Yeah.
But after that,
But we're not talking about the cheats, right? They would normally exercise and have a proper diet, live a healthy lifestyle, and the muscles would grow and develop, right? So the heart is made up of a type of muscles too. So the heart, you have to keep that in mind, that the heart is a type of muscle. But it's a different kind because unlike your muscles in your legs, they wouldn't get tired after you run up a flight of stairs. Think about your heart from the time you are born to the time you die. It would keep beating without getting tired.
So if your heart come out of your body, it will still beat?
If you are,
Heart come out of your body, it will still beat?
yes, for a small period of time, it would remain alive. And it would keep beating and stuff. They would put it in a tub of ice, so it would slow down the rate, so it wouldn't die and stuff.
Yeah, let's be saying that Grey's Anatomy.
So if you ever see the movies where they're doing a heart transplant and they run around with a little cooler, it's actually it's a literal cooler with ice, so it would slow down the activities of the heart and it would take longer to die. Right? So it would remain alive and it would have the heart could beat on its own and everything, but remember it would be connected to your brain and all the other things, right? So good question. Right. So
Over the slight turn to the left because of the bigger left side. In an anatomically correct model of the human heart, the vertical septum separates the right side and the left side. Because we are looking at the heart from the front, the left side is here and the right side is here. The right side is separated into the right atrium and the right ventricle by the tricuspid valve. The left side is also separated into the left atrium and the left ventricle.
right. Right now we just have to just be familiar with it, with the labels. In the Google Classroom, I would put a diagram of the labels with of the heart, right? Okay. So right now it's just for you to familiarize yourselves with it.
The bicuspid valve. We call each section, so the atriums and the ventricles, a chamber. The blood doesn't stay long in the chambers. Deoxygenated blood returning to your heart never stays there longer than half a beat. It is pumped into your lungs to become oxygenated again. The right atrium is connected to two large veins, the superior vena cava for deoxygenated blood coming from the upper parts of your body, and the inferior vena cava for deoxygenated blood from the lower parts of your body. The right ventricle is directly connected to your lungs by the pulmonary artery, with the pulmonary valve acting as a floodgate. From the heart end.
Right. So what would happen, you would have all these different names. Don't get too flustered with them. It would get a little simpler as we go along. Alright? Right. So we said the heart is a pump. Everybody agree there?
Yes,
Everybody
sir.
remember that? Right. So think about now, you all ever went to like the beach or the pool or even the shower or washing the dishes and you play with water and you make a little cup with your hand and you squeeze. What would happen to the water?
It will come out.
It will squirt out. You basically made a little pump. Right? You would actually make, that's actually making a little pump. The muscles in your hand contract, creating a force, and it only had one way out for the water to go. It would squirt that water out with the force. Pressure would increase. So think about now, if I have one pump here, and I have another. That means I would have two pumps. So the heart now is divided into chambers. And it's called a double pump because what we said double means again? Two. And pump means we're pushing out the blood. So if we say double pump, that means we're going to pump the blood two ways or two times, right? So what is going to happen? The heart is a double pump. What that means is that we're going to pump it twice before we send it out the blood. Alright? So let's look at this diagram here. What does it say? What does that show it? So now that we know what the colors mean, we know the heart. Somebody can tell me what that diagram is showing us. Right, the lungs. Yeah. Lungs connected to the heart. What activity we are seeing there? What is the heart doing?
It carrying and pulling blood.
Alright. Yeah. So let's use the words that we know. Alright, yeah.
Stop is your shoe.
Sure. Alright. So here we see the heart is pumping blood to the lungs, and from the lungs it is going back to the heart. Everybody seeing that? Right. So these are words that we come across: oxygenated and deoxygenated. That means without and with oxygen in the blood. So remember we said from the other topic when you did breathing, you breathe to pick up oxygen. So basically your heart pumps the blood to the lungs so it could what we said we need the lungs to do to pick up oxygen. Yes. So we're pumping it to pick up oxygen and bring it back to the heart. And then that's the first pump. The second pump, what we see in it, it will pump it to the
Heart.
blood body. Yes. So it basically it will pump it first, it will get the oxygen, get rid of the carbon dioxide, and then it will pump it to the rest of the body. You all seeing that?
Yes, sir.
So if each pump has an in and an out, it's a double pump. How many chambers we expect to see? 4. You all agree?
Yeah.
Yes. Good job on the answer. Right. So this is a summary. So just take a look at the whole diagram together, and let's bring all the pieces together.
So, yeah, see.
Alright, so it would be posted in the Google Classroom, but what it is showing there is basically the last few slides put together, how the deoxygenated blood goes to the lungs, pick up oxygen, now called oxygenated blood, and it goes back to the heart, and it is pumped back out to the no, we just come from it to the body. Right, everybody good there now?
Yes, sir.
Any questions?
No, sir.
Everybody good so far?
Yes, sir.
Alright, so what we have is an ed puzzle. You all have an ed puzzle in Form 1?
Probably not.
Right, so it is an interactive puzzle, interactive video, sorry. So basically, how we have the videos, it will pause and it will ask you a question based on what they showed you before. It will give you the correct answer, right? So internet is down at the moment for the school. So this will be posted in the Google Classroom. So you all will do that after, right? So in summary now, let's bring everything together. What is the purpose of a transport system? Raise your hand if you have a contribution. Why we need a transport system? Alright. Down to the back. Anyone from the back? Why we need a transport system?
To transport blood.
To transport blood. Next person on this table. When we talk about the water bottle, it will transfer the cold water and we hold it in our hand. It will transfer the heat, alright, and transport material around the body. Alright. And then, what are the 3 types of blood vessels? Yeah, they are. One of the blood vessels. Alright. Any friends in the corner there? One of the blood vessels. The name of any one. Come on, you all need to be brave, man. Brave like how you were talking and thing, you know. Yeah. A vein, thank you. Artery. Capillary. Good job, guys. And why is the heart called a double pump?
Because it pumps twice.
Right, it pumps blood twice around the body. Alright. So, in the Google Classroom for homework, you will do a worksheet I would leave a few of the worksheets here for those of you who may not have regular internet access or smart devices. I just have a few copies to share out here. For those of you who won't have it, it's to basically label the charts and the general diagrams that we covered in today's class. So I'll put this here. Any questions? No questions? Okay. Let's hear a couple people raise your hand. All right, so somebody from this bench, tell me one thing that you would remember from today's class. One thing that stood out from today's class. That's not middle bench. Right there. Yeah. Heart is a double pump. Thank you very much. Back bench.
How the heart pumps the blood.
How the heart pumps the blood. On this side. One person from this side. Anything.
So how different could I mess up your body?
Okay. All right. Anybody else? On this side. Front. One thing that you would remember, one thing that stood out to you from today's class. 3 types of blood vessels. The names of the blood vessels. Anybody else?
So how big the heart is?
Already expanded. Very good. Yeah? Somebody on this bench was okay.
So how big the heart is?
So, any other questions? Yes? It's a pump.
So
Yeah.
the heart does grow while your body growing, or the heart does stay its size only that much?
It grows, and exercise helps because it wouldn't actually have to work as hard to do the same job. So thanks for your assistance and cooperation, everybody. Have a good day.
Same to you.
Goodbye.